You wake up. Something feels wrong before you even open your eyes. The blanket above you is enormous, a fabric mountain range stretching in every direction. The air feels different, thick, alive with vibrations you've never noticed before. You sit up, and the room you've lived in your whole life is suddenly the size of a country. You are now the size of a bug, and the world did not get smaller to match you. It got infinitely, horrifyingly larger. Start with something as simple as gravity, because even that betrays you now. At small scales, gravity matters far less than it does at human size. This is why insects can fall from great heights and walk away unharmed. Their mass is so low relative to their surface area that air resistance alone can save them. So you wouldn't be crushed falling off the bed. You'd drift down almost gently, like a leaf. That part, oddly, isn't the nightmare. The nightmare is what's waiting on the floor. Dust isn't dust anymore. Each particle is now a boulder. The carpet beneath you isn't soft. It's a forest of vertical fibers, each one taller than you, each one strong enough to trap you if you misstep between them. You'd have to climb, carefully, fiber by fiber, just to cross what used to be 3 feet of bedroom floor. And you're not alone down there. At your new size, you share the floor with an entire ecosystem you spent your whole life ignoring. Dust mites, nearly invisible to human eyes, are now visible, mobile, and close. Researcher entomologists who study mite biology have documented that a single home can contain millions of them, mostly feeding on dead skin cells, completely unaware and now completely enormous compared to you. They wouldn't attack you, they don't have any reason to, but that almost makes it worse. You're now sharing space with creatures that don't register you as a threat or as anything at all. You are simply background movement to them, the way a falling leaf might be background movement to you. Now think carefully about what predator actually means at this scale, because the definition stretches further than you'd expect. Start with the obvious one, the spider in the corner. At human size, you've walked past that web 100 times without a second thought. At bug size, that web isn't decoration. It's a structure engineered specifically to catch something exactly your new size. Spider silk, ounce for ounce, is stronger than steel. Researchers studying its molecular structure have found it can be tougher than Kevlar relative to its weight. If you brushed against even a single strand, you might not be able to break free at all. And the spider itself. At your scale, you'd be able to see details you were never meant to see up close. The way its eyes catch movement, the mechanical precision of its legs, the way it doesn't hesitate once something triggers its web. To something your new size, you wouldn't be a curiosity, you'd be lunch. But spiders are only the beginning of the predator problem, because at insect scale, even creatures you'd never call dangerous become exactly that. Ants, for instance. A single ant on its own seems almost harmless, even at your reduced size. But ants are almost never alone. Researchers who study ant colony behavior have found that many species coordinate attacks through chemical signals, recruiting dozens or hundreds of workers within minutes of detecting something edible or something that simply smells wrong. To an ant colony, you wouldn't register as a person. You'd register as a large, unfamiliar object that might be food, might be a threat, or might simply be in the way, and colonies tend to resolve that uncertainty through overwhelming numbers rather than caution. Then there's the praying mantis, an insect most people find almost charming at full human scale. Oddly elegant, patient, still. At your new size, that stillness is the most dangerous thing about it. Mantises are ambush predators. Researchers studying their hunting behavior have documented strike speeds among the fastest reaction times recorded in the animal kingdom, fast enough that prey rarely perceives the strike before it's already over. You wouldn't see it coming, you'd simply be still and then you wouldn't be. And this is where the predator list expands somewhere most people don't expect, because at this scale, birds become an entirely different category of horror. A sparrow, a creature you fed breadcrumbs to without a second thought, becomes something closer to a flying apex predator the moment you're insect-sized. Birds hunt insects constantly, instinctively, with no hesitation and no malice. It's simply what they do, all day, every day. A shadow passing overhead that used to mean nothing now means a beak descending from a height you can't track fast enough to react to. But here's the detail that makes all of this worse, the one that turns the thought experiment genuinely unsettling. The most dangerous predator in this entire scenario isn't the spider, the ants, the mantis, or the birds, it's the humans. This is the part that should sit uncomfortably with you because you already know exactly how humans treat things your new size, since you've done it yourself 1,000 times without thinking. A human walking through a room doesn't look down to check for something insect-sized. They don't pause before sitting on furniture. They don't check before swatting at nothing near their face. At your new size, an ordinary human, going about an ordinary day becomes a force of pure, casual, unintentional devastation. Footsteps that could end you instantly. A closing door with the force of a falling wall. A swatting hand moving faster than anything you could ever outrun. And unlike the spider or the mantis or the ants, humans aren't even hunting you. That's what makes it worse, not better. The spider at least wants something from you. The human doesn't know you exist at all. You'd be sharing space with something thousands of times your mass, capable of ending you in half a second, that would never even register the moment it happened. No malice, no awareness, no acknowledgement, just an enormous, oblivious force moving through a world it has no idea is. To something your size, an active war zone. This is the part almost no one considers when they imagine being bug-sized as something fun or whimsical. You wouldn't experience it like a cartoon. You'd experience it with the full weight of human dread, watching shadows move overhead that you instantly recognize as feet, as hands, as forces with a casual, unthinking power to end you without ever noticing you were there. Every predator in this new world, the spider, the ants, the mantis, the bird, and the human, would share one terrifying trait in common. None of them would see you as anything close to an equal. You'd simply be prey or background or an inconvenience to be swatted aside, depending entirely on which one happened to notice you first. Even if every predator somehow missed you, your own body would still be working against you. Sound becomes its own kind of threat. At your new size, even normal household noise would hit you differently. Researchers studying scaling and acoustics note that smaller bodies experience sound waves with relatively more force and intensity at certain frequencies, since their tiny structures resonate differently than a full-sized human body would. A vacuum cleaner wouldn't just be loud, it would be a roaring, world-ending storm bearing down with no warning and no escape route fast enough to outrun it. And then there's the matter of simply moving at all. At bug size, the physics of walking change entirely. Insects rely on a leg arrangement and exoskeleton structure built specifically for their scale. A human-shaped body, shrunk down but keeping human proportions, would actually struggle to walk efficiently at all. Researchers who study biomechanics across different size scales have found that the muscle-to-mass ratio that works perfectly for a 6-foot human becomes wildly inefficient at insect size. You'd likely be clumsy, slow, and constantly off balance in a world where every surface looks like uncharted, hazardous terrain, and every predator around you moves faster and more efficiently than you ever could. Even breathing changes. Insects don't breathe the way humans do. They use a network of tiny tubes called tracheae that deliver oxygen directly to tissues, which only works efficiently at very small scale. A human body, shrunk down but still built like a human, would likely struggle to get enough oxygen through human-style lungs at that scale, since the physics of gas exchange through lungs doesn't scale down cleanly. In other words, breathing itself might become a quiet, constant struggle, on top of everything else trying to kill you. Here's the part that makes all of this worse, not better. You'd still have a human brain, human awareness, human memory of what the world used to feel like. You wouldn't get the simplicity of an actual insect's instincts, narrow, automatic, unbothered by complexity. You'd be fully conscious, fully aware, trapped in a body utterly unequipped for the scale it now exists at, watching threats approach that you fully comprehend and can barely outmaneuver. This is, in its own strange way, a window into something real. Every single day you walk through a world filled with creatures for whom your scale is exactly this terrifying. The bug you step over without a glance, the spider you brush away without thinking, the ant whose colony you accidentally flood with your garden hose. For them, you are the looming, unstoppable force from the horror story. You are the shadow they never see coming. the human who never even noticed. So if you ever found yourself the size of a bug, waking up in a world of towering carpet fibers, predatory architecture disguised as cobwebs, coordinated ant colonies, ambush hunting mantises, hungry birds overhead, and oblivious human giants who could end you without ever registering you existed, remember this. You wouldn't just be small. You'd finally understand completely and permanently the scale of vulnerability that something is always living inside, just below your notice, every single day of your very large, very oblivious life.